InnerQuest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to InnerQuest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is Philip Clark. Welcome, Philip.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Philip. He's lived a very interesting life. Philip has been practicing as a numerologist for over 31 years, and he's also a Reiki master and teacher. Philip worked for 23 years as a salesman, sales manager, and sales trainer in the life insurance industry. Philip graduated from Northwestern University School of Business with a major in finance. Philip was a Dallas Cowboys #1 draft choice and played for 5 years with the Cowboys, New England Patriots, and our beloved Chicago Bears. So how does one go from professional football with a great degree from Northwestern University to a numerologist?
Well, after I was in the insurance industry, that's when financial planning was coming into vogue, and I was in charge of training. And it was easier to sell a mutual fund than it was a life insurance policy, and sales went down, and that's when they said bye-bye. And it also was when I was going through some personal issues, and I was introduced to meditation. Mm-hmm. And if it hadn't been a guy and a detective, I would not have done it.
Meaning meditation?
Gotten into it, yes. But what really got my attention was the very first day. There was 30 of us. And we walked into this big, huge room, and I looked in the corner, and I saw the paramedics. And I said, I wonder if this is dangerous. Why would the paramedics be here? So he came forth, and he welcomed us, and he said, as you can see, we've got the paramedics here tonight, and I'm going to ask each one of you to sit in the middle chair. And we're going to hook you up to a blood pressure cuff, a heart monitor, and a brain monitor. And all we want you to do is sit in your greatest fear. Now, those machines went crazy. And, you know, my greatest fear was spiders. Mm-hmm. So I closed my eyes and I visualized the tarantula that ate up New York City. Mm-hmm. And blood pressure went up, heart rate, brain waves. Then when he finished, we all finished, he said, now was that real? And we said, no, we made it up. And he said, if you can do that with your greatest fear, might not you do the same thing with your hopes, dreams, and desires? Now, that got my attention. 13 months later, I was off the hypertension medication that the doctor said I had to be on for the rest of my life.
And how many years ago was this?
This was 30-some years ago.
31,
yeah.
31 was what
yeah.
I said.
And then his partner introduced us to numerology.
And are you still meditating?
Oh, I teach meditation, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
And, well, I've been doing meditation since 1982, so
okay.
I've got 30 years.
Okay, sure.
Twice a day. How often do you do your meditation?
I do it right in the morning, you know, right as I'm getting up, mm-hmm. and at night, right as I'm going to bed. Mm-hmm. So my left brain can stay out of the way.
Okay. And is there you say you teach, is there a particular style of meditation you teach?
No. I really define it as helping people get back to self-management. And we do a lot of breathing exercises, mm-hmm. Really helping us begin to see that there's more to us than just the body, and how to begin to act as opposed to react.
Mm-hmm. And so with numerology, what have you learned about yourself through numerology?
Oh, wow. The biggie, the very first class, the instructor asked to use my profile as a teaching tool. That's the way a lot of these things unfold, you know, to get your attention. All day long I said, Philip, what happened here? Philip, what happened here? Philip, what happened here?
And when she's saying what happened here, what specifically is she referring to?
They were very key points in my life. Age 13, principal called me down to the office. And in our high school, he ruled the grade school, he ruled the grade school with what he called the electric paddle. Have you ever seen electric paddle?
No.
No, he had it was a fiberglass paddle on the edge of his desk, a cord with a plug coming out of the end of it. Anyone got sent down to the office, he would look at you, look down at the paddle and say, next time. So a teacher said, principal wants to see you. So it was like the movie Dead Man Walking. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? So I knock on the door, he says, come in. I sat down and he said, I've got an honor for you. And this was the big thing, because I grew up a stutterer.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you're valedictorian of the 8th grade class. And I said, what's that? He said, you get to give a speech. I fell off the chair crying. And he said, it's an honor. I said, not for me. And he said, well, you got to do something. He let me play a clarinet solo. And that night, he made me feel like a king.
Mm-hmm. So at the graduation ceremony, you played?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, he became my high school principal, told all the teachers during the summer, we got a good student, good athlete, but he's got a speech problem.
Now, you were going to school late 60s, early 70s,
Mm-hmm.
which was a time of turmoil.
Mm-hmm.
Was your school mostly African American?
No.
What?
Mostly Caucasian.
Mm-hmm.
We had, literally in our high school, we had 18 blacks.
Mm-hmm.
But it was only 250 kids.
Mm-hmm.
My graduating class had 69. That's how small the school was.
Yes. Okay. And so you said you had, and so when you looked at your numerology chart, something showed up at age 13.
Well, yes, that's when, no, she asked me what happened at age 13.
Yeah.
And that's when the principal called me down to the office to say I was valedictorian.
How did she know to ask you?
Now this is one of the things that a lot of the books don't address, and it was the progression, table of progression chart, which starts at birth and literally progresses the key numbers forward, the letters in the name, your personal year, universal year, your challenges, your pinnacles, everything year by year, which also ties into past lifetimes also.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what she was doing. And she asked me about that. She asked me about age 17 when my mother died. She asked me about age 21 or 22 when I came to Northwestern. Blew me away. Literally blew me away. And she looked just like the psychic in Poltergeist, and she was real tiny. But when I went up to her and asked her, I said, you're psychic, aren't you? And she says, yes, but I read your profile. Went over to our teacher. Why did you have to tell her all about me? And she said she didn't. Went to the library, found 2 books on numerology that day, spent the next 7 years trying to disprove it. That's how I got into numerology.
And how did you go about disproving it?
Well, I questioned everything. And I read book after book after book after book. And what really got my attention was when I learned that Pythagoras, I said the Pythagorean theorem, had one of the highest rated mystery schools in Greece. They called them mystery schools. And it was only for the elite, the wealthy. Mm-hmm. And he taught mathematics, astronomy, and music. And that began to get my attention. Then I went further back, and a lot of what we were given in church, numerology going back, helped me understand the symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, it brought me full circle.
Now, that experience at age 13, well, I'll use the Russian proverb, a hammer shatters glass but forges steel.
Mm-hmm.
So that experience could have shattered you like glass or forged you into steel.
Sure.
And so when the numbers point to a difficult time in our life, again, we could either be shattered or forged.
Right. And it's, what really helped me was Matthew Oliver Goodwin. That was the book that really began to open it up for us. And instead of just giving a definition of a number, he gave the complete, image of the number, balanced, underbalanced, and overbalanced, the complete vibration. That made a lot of sense.
Can you give some examples of under, over, or
yeah,
balance?
For example, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, if it's balance, is independence, the ability to stand on one's own feet.
Okay.
Overbalance would, you do it my way or else.
Yeah.
Underbalance would be dependent as opposed to independent. Take care of me, take care of me.
Right.
And he would
like
give
codependent.
Yeah, he would give 25 to 30 of those, examples for each number, which really opened the door.
Like every number, there's an upside and a downside.
Yes. And the majority of books today just give the balanced energy. So it doesn't really do numerology justice.
Do you ever think about writing a book yourself?
Yes, as a matter of fact, when I do my meditation, my guides and my teachers keep hitting me over the head. But I do have a title, and I'm in the process of putting the chapters together, yes.
Great. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure you will have something new to contribute.
Thank you.
And I think that comes with meditation when you go inward.
Yeah.
Each one of us has a different connection to source and gets different ideas based on different experiences and contributions. Excellent. So what makes your method of numerology different than other methods of numerology?
Well, I won't say it's that different, but I describe numerology as my diagnostic tool. And so that's the approach that I take. When I say my diagnostic tool, it addresses the who, what, where, when, and how. And when I was first getting started, so many people would say, I wish I knew what this was all about. I wish I knew what my talent was. I wish I knew why I did this. I wish I knew why this happened to me. And literally, numerology, the vibration of the name and the birth date information points it all out. The birth date's the only thing we can't change. And the moment you take that first breath, when people begin to understand the aura, when we take that first breath, that aura opens up, expands, and that vibration starts.
Now, I also know there's numbers involved in the time, so it's not just the day. Do you take the time into consideration?
Yes. And especially in India, that's their most important number, the birth time. And again, my left brain, it was amazing that when you take our 24-hour day and break it down to minutes, you get 1,440 minutes that you can divide our 9 basic numbers into evenly, 2 hours and 40 minutes. And it's those kinds of things that really got my attention because, oh, that makes sense. Oh, okay, evenly, nothing left over, perfectly even, divisible.
Yeah, well, I'll pay you a compliment. I would say what separates your method of numerology from others is you. You're very intelligent and articulate. You know, we spoke before the show. I'm very impressed.
Well, I literally set out to disprove it. I really put my heart into it because it wasn't logical. And now I've learned that it's beyond logic, beyond logic.
Well, would you say there's some intuition or instincts involved?
Yes, but the majority of us don't come close to accepting that. And this, again, is why I laughingly say I'm glad I'm a guy. Because in the process of using my left brain, being logical, being practical, being real, trying to debunk it, I learned to get out of the way. And when I learned to get out of the way, it took me back to sports, where you would trust your heart.
Now, earlier before the show, we were talking about you had some great teachers. You had Arab Parsegian when you were playing football at Northwestern University, Coach Landry at Detroit Lions. Your parents must have had a hell
Dallas
of
Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a Landry who played quarterback?
Yes.
Yeah,
Detroit,
yeah.
Quarterback.
But your parents must have had a heck of an influence.
Now see, this is what really got my attention with numerology, that very first class. My mother died when I was going into my senior year. I never knew my real father. And my stepfather died the year after my mother died. So I literally had what was called close family.
Did you have siblings, brothers, sisters?
No, I had a sister who was 18 years older. And it was like she was already married and had her family. When I got into numerology, my birth date number was number 6, which is all about family and relationships.
And there's no family?
That blew me away. And I had a lot of issues with relationships because I couldn't say no and I wanted to fit in. And the stuttering part, my challenge, the only challenge I had was number 3, which is the challenge of expression. And that's what got my attention as I was going through. I said, oh, maybe something to this stuff.
Well, and you're a phenomenal speaker now.
Well, I had a tremendous amount of help. And this is why I know this just wasn't happenstance. My grade school principal became my high school principal. Again, during the summer, he told the teachers, we got a good student, got a good athlete, but he's got a speech problem. Music teacher who had gotten her master's from Northwestern said, get him in Glee Club, I can help him. She taught me how to diaphragmatically breathe. And I found that when I sang, I didn't stutter. Then she saw how shy I was and got me into barbershop quartet. She said to teach me stage presence. And it literally began to bring out this shy, personal person who amazingly could do all this stuff in sports. But I found sports was my outlet, which allowed me to release all my fear and my anger. I did not know how powerful feelings were. I get in this arena, and I was at a function in Chicago, and the presenter said, men are wired to the left brain, women to the right brain. And I would always ask questions, so I raised my hand and I said, why does that matter? He said, well, the left brain is 10 to 15% of our capacity. The right brain's 85 to 90. Anyone from that workshop who still see me today, they all say the same thing. Boy, Clark, you should have seen your face.
And so when you meditate, you're going into the right brain.
Yes.
And how did you phrase it when you mentioned earlier? It says when you meditate, you get your left brain out of there?
Yes, you learn, you go from reacting to acting.
Okay, so you know, how do you get your clients and how do you work with them? So somebody says, oh, I want to have a numerology reading with
Again, I
Philip.
use numerology as my diagnostic tool. And I say that addresses the who, what, where, when, and how. And I describe meditation classes, the Reiki treatments, all my other tools as the repair work.
I see.
Okay, so This helps us begin to get all the information we need. When I do the numerology session, everything is laid out. Now we use these other tools to begin to put it all back together again.
Now, you obviously do a lot of work on yourself, meditation being one of them, and I assume you watch what you eat and maybe exercise.
Well, when I was playing ball, I was big for my position, and got in the habit of eating 1 meal a day. And a lot of people would say that wasn't healthy, but it became a habit. And so that has really kept my appetite very, very small. And with the other tools, I do a lot with EFT, emotional freedom technique, neuro-linguistic programming, all those kinds of things. And that just helps me keep things in balance. But numerology, again, that's my foundation.
Now you're going to be teaching at Infinity. What exactly are you going to be teaching your students?
Well, we just finished level 1 numerology, level 2 numerology, and then the advanced. And I received a call, and now the one coming up in December is addressing a lot of what we're all hearing out there now. Tell me about the end of the world. Tell me about
so more universal.
12, you know. Yeah, it's with the focus on 2012. This is what the title was going to be about, but it's grounding it.
And can you tell our audience what you expect for the remainder of the year? Or?
Well, I describe it again. I use plain language, and we're doing house cleaning.
Well, I know a little bit about numerology, and I don't claim to know anywhere near as much as you, but just 2012 is number 5.
2012 is number 5.
Yeah, it's a change, isn't it?
It's change, but it's the choice to make the change that will move us towards freedom. 5 holds all those qualities: choice, change, and freedom. And when you look at the 5, it's in the middle of the 9 numbers. So the 5 can literally look at the previous 4, see what worked, what didn't work, make the changes. But it's making the choice to make the changes. And when the changes are made, they can then apply it to the upcoming 4 and allow it to move them towards freedom. So 2012 is presenting us with that, and with December being the 12th month, and then the 12th day and the 21st day being the same, it's literally creating our ideal. And we literally have come here to be conscious creators, and we're now being brought to that place.
Well, I think in 2012 so far, I think 3 political leaders or rulers have been replaced. So that's a lot of change. And do you think there's anything significant in the date 9/11, because the terrorist attack 9/11,
well,
2001?
It was very, very interesting that 9/11, and when you look at, everybody was putting the focus on 9/11, and when you look at the whole concept of it, I'm trying to think of what was September
11th, 2001.
2001, yeah, and it's there was a whole process that going back to 1999, and then all the focus was on 2000, and they were saying there was going to be all this stuff. It literally was planting the seed for that 2000, the 9/11 was planting the seed for that. It had nothing to do with going from 1999 into 2000.
But when you say planting the seed for what?
Helping us go inside and turn the light on, And all I mean by that, 11 is one of the master numbers.
11,
22,
and
33.
And
11 is self-illumination.
Mm-hmm.
And it literally, I was asked, if you were in a dark room, what would you do? Well, you turn the light on. So you could see, and then you would see that you already had everything you needed, but it was an inside job. And when you look at those twin towers and all of what transpired up to that point, it literally was, the whole focus was being put on that, not going from 1999 into the 2000. It was planting the seed for 9/11.
So 1999, is year one, and 2011, well, we'd finished one cycle from 99 to 2008 and then started a new cycle.
Yeah.
Or 2007 was that end of this cycle.
Yeah, the whole thing was, it was forecasting what transpired, but we were all putting the focus on that transition going into 2000 from 1999.
Well, you've talked about like the years. Let's talk about the individual numbers. You talked a little bit about one. Talk about the 9 basic numbers. Spend as little time on each number as you'd like.
Well, 1 is all about being independent. It's all about self. So look at 1 as independent self. Look at 2 as self-cooperation. Look at 3 as self-expression.
And that's the one you mentioned you had problems with before.
4 would be self-discipline. 5 would be self-freedom. 6 would be self-responsibility, the ability to respond.
And that was your birth number, I believe you said.
And then, I've got some pictures here if you want to see them, but
sure.
The 7 is the inner self, and 8 is self-power, and 8 being the power number gets a lot of bad press, but
it's a balanced number when you look at it.
It's learning the difference between inner power and outer power. And 9 is humanitarian self. And here are these pictures, and I don't know if you can...
Philip, I'm sorry to say we only got like a minute to go. Is there one particular... Well, I'm a double 7. I had my chart done.
You're 77?
Yeah. But,
okay, all right.
So tell me about this one.
As you can see, the thinker.
Okay.
And the double 7 adds up to 14, which reduces to a 5, which is thinking oneself into freedom. 7s normally are the idea people.
Yeah, that would be me. Good
have
call.
A lot of thoughts, come up with them.
Well, let's do 6 because you mentioned you're a 6.
Okay. And when you look at that picture, look at that. Football player, scholarship in all 4 sports, and nobody knew how sensitive I was on the inside.
You mentioned feelings played an important role. You didn't know about feelings that you let it out.
Right.
Well, we got to wrap it up. For more information about Infinity Foundation Inner Quest, Philip Clark, stay tuned until the credits at the end. Until next time, we wish you good health, good spirits, and good fortune. Philip, it's been a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
For more information about this show, our guests, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.